So, where to begin? Um, I think for a lot of leftists around the world, and leftist is, I think, a contestable term, but for people who broadly believe in the creation of a democratic and egalitarian society, when Pedro Castillo was elected in July of 2021, that was a watershed moment, and arguably perhaps the most watershed moment of what is being called the resurgent pink tide. And I know that itself is also something that we should unpack and ask, to what extent are we really in a pink tide resurgence? But be that as it may, when he became president of Peru, this person who was virtually unknown, at least to the political establishment, who was formerly an elementary school teacher, that seemed to embody the highest aspirations of what a government for the people could look like, and someone who directly hailed from the people. So the events that have unfolded since the 7th of December have been really disheartening. And to be honest, myself, I've kind of avoided paying close attention because it's demoralizing. So I kind of want to begin by starting with that, which is what happened on the 7th of December when Pedro Castillo was impeached and subsequently arrested, and this mass wave of nationwide protests was triggered. Could you walk us through that? Why was he impeached? Who impeached him, and where is he now?
Do you want me to take it, or would you like José Miguel to take that?
Either one of you, go ahead.
I'll start it off, and José Miguel can, fill in the blanks. The December 7th impeachment was in fact, I think, the fourth attempt by the Peruvian parliament to impeach Pedro Castillo. They'd done it for several different reasons and in several different occasions over his 16-month term, 16 or 7 months. The most recent one, the successful one, was actually triggered by Pedro Castillo's attempt to dissolve Congress. Why? Because he was going to be impeached by that very Congress. So there was a kind of a back and forth kind of attempt to preempt his impeachment. That happened, I think, the day before, on December 6th. Castillo announced that he was going to try to dissolve Congress to prevent the impeachment vote that was set to go forth the following day. Having done so, he effectively gifted the Peruvian Congress the constitutional pretext that they needed to gather the majority vote that they previously did not have, to vote by majority to impeach him. Now, why? The big question is kind of, why would he commit such a blunder? Why couldn't he have foreseen that this would be the outcome, or did he foresee that this would be the outcome? I don't know if José Miguel has some other details that he wants to fill in, or I'm sure I forgot.
Well, yes, I think that that's absolutely true, and the issue here is that, as you say, that's a question that historians will have to work on over decades, for sure, because so far, even President Castillo haven't said anything about what was his rationale for declaring the dissolution of Congress. In that way, and without having the support of any of the army bodies of the country or any of the other powers, and even support from the population in the same very day, in that very day. And on the other side, I think we can delve deeper in what was going on with Congress over the past. Castillo government lasted 1 year, 4 months, and 9 days. And during that time, he had to change almost 80 ministers. He had 6 cabinets in 1 year, 6 cabinets. And all the ministers, of course, they had many accusations for corruption. They have very dark precedents. That's definitive. And Congress, they were under constant scrutiny from Congress, like no other cabinet in the last 30 years. And even now, we have the current cabinet and the ministers, they have precedents with cases of corruption, and Congress hasn't said anything, nothing. There is no accusation, no interrogation about those cases. And after 47 deaths, 47 killings during this protest, there has been no accusation from Congress, no attempt to impeach or, I think in English, I don't know if you use the same word, censor any of these ministers. And they have been confirmed by Congress just 2 days ago with overwhelming support from the right wing. Indeed, the party that lost the election, El Partido Fujimori's party, they gave overwhelming support to this new cabinet. So now they are not the opposition. Now they are the official party in power, along with all this wide coalition of right-wing forces in Congress. And this is something that follows a historical pattern in Peru since the last, I would say even since the early 1990s, because the population voted for a leftist program, or at least a platform that promised social change, structural change, and at the end, the platform that governed is the one that lost the election. And we have seen that in 2006 not, but in 2011 and also in 2016.
So I'm just the extent to which Castillo faced opposition and hostility from Congress sounds astounding. But I want to ask about Peru's current president, its acting president, Dina Boluarte, who was his vice president and ran on the same political party platform, Free Peru, who was also recently expelled from that party, and she has since in interviews then distanced herself from the ideology of the party, which is officially Marxist. So could you maybe explain why Boluarte has now effectively thrown Castillo under the bus? What someone would have expected is that, faced with mounting attempts by his own Congress to depose him, that there would be some support from his political party, but that doesn't seem to have been the case. Why was that so?
I can start by giving a brief thumbnail sketch answer, and then I'll let José Miguel give like the more like robust answer. I mean, the thing that's kind of hard for people outside Peru to wrap their heads around is just how weak the party system is in Peru, and how much these people that we associate with these parties are not in fact associated with these parties. I mean, I think they're called invitados. They're people who are effectively invited to saddle up to a party because they might have some popularity in a certain electorate that the said party wants to win. This is actually the case of none other than Pedro Castillo. He's not, as we would say on the left, he's not an organic member of this Marxist Leninist party, Peru Libre. He was invited to run on their platform in the 2021 election. Because he had a base, and I think that the same can be said of the former vice and now acting president Dina Boluarte. She doesn't even have very much of a political background at all, if I'm not mistaken, José Miguel. I think she's a lawyer, and I think the consensus now is that she's really acting at the behest of this Congress, which, as José Miguel said before, is really kind of, it's the case of the tail wagging the dog. It's really the Congress who's taken over the executive and put their pawn in. I don't know what kind of arrangements they have. I don't know if that information is available, but the consensus seems to be that it's really Congress running the show, and then Dina Boluarte is a figurehead for them. So why did she throw him under the? I mean, I don't think they ever really had any meeting of minds to begin with. And I think, this is, and again, it goes back to what José Miguel was saying before. It's always been a kind of odd bedfellows. With Castillo, he's had to take, across his 80 different appointments, he's had to kind of take appointments from initially from the left, from what seemed to be United Front left, and then from different parties, just to save his hide. And I think Dina Boluarte is just one of those many figures that he initially accepted for his own political survival, and well, look where it got him. I don't know, José Miguel, is that fair? A fair characterization of her?
Oh, definitely, yes. We can add there that, in fact, a few days before December the 7th, Dina Boluarte was cleaned of all the accusations she had from Congress with charges of corruption. Mm-hmm. They were investigating her for allegedly she had benefit a regional association from the region she's from, Apurímac, and just a few days before, Congress decided to archivar, to yeah, exactly, that case. And then after Castillo, after the fall of Castillo, all of a sudden she happily accepted the presidency and started this government in alliance with Congress. Indeed, something that was very shocking for everybody is that in the middle of all this political turmoil, instead of trying to open channels of communication with regional leaders, with social movements and organizations, grassroots organizations all over the country, the only thing she did was to have meetings with members of the Congress, with leaders of the right-wing parties, and with the military. And she published the pictures on the social media and the official pages of the government institutions. She didn't try to start a conversation with all those, with all the people that voted for Castillo and for her, for that platform in 2021. And that's quite telling, I think so. I think that's very telling. Another thing that is important to underscore here is that while Castillo, yes, he started appointing ministers and trying to solidify alliances with leftist parties, we have to notice here that there is a wide spectrum within the left, as everywhere in the world. We have this self-proclaimed Marxist party, Peru Libre, where he was invited. But we have also these other leftist parties, mostly based on Lima. His members are part of the upper middle class or middle class. They would be identified in other countries as progressives. And they have a very different agenda. While Peru Libre and Castillo himself, they are socially conservative about women's rights, about LGBTQ rights, and even they don't talk about indigenous rights unless they are in campaign. Castillo himself, he have never claimed indigeneity or indigenous roots. He doesn't use that language. He says that he is a son of peasant people, campesinos, and he has, of course, he's a symbol because of his identity. He is a rural teacher. He is a union leader. He's also a campesino. And he had no connections with the elite. He is the first president in Peruvian history that had no connections neither with the military nor the business elite in this country. And that's a huge difference. Despite he didn't have a history of militancy in the left. He didn't have that trajectory. And he wasn't either a leader of a social movement. And that may explain also, in part, the weakness of his position when he started his government. And so these alliances were very troubling at the beginning, because we can see something that happened just this year. The leader of Peru Libre, the Marxist left wing, they are supporters of Maduro and Cuba, but they say in Congress, the leader, Vladimir Cerrón Palomino, he said, we have more points of agreement with the right wing, with Fujimoristas, than with the centrist leftist. We have nothing to talk with them. They are traitors because they are caviar, middle class, and they don't identify with a popular agenda. So we have more in common with the far right. So that's very troubling. So, and that shows a very complicated scenario here.